So why don't we call this meeting to order at 7:02? And Bruce, are you taking notes or am I taking notes?
I got it. I'm taking
Oh, okay.
notes. All
Thank
right.
you. Just wanted to check. All right. Do we have any public comment? I always like to ask. I'm
I
guessing.
don't, I don't see anybody on. So
Okay, so why don't we just move on to new business? Oh, wait, Andres was going to do something. He's not here.
yeah.
So I'm going to move on to Bruce. Would you like to talk about the part-time bike coordinator?
Me, Bruce?
I'm guessing you, Bruce. It says
Yeah.
Bruce Bernal, yeah.
No, I think that was brought up by but who did bring that up? Matthew, was that you? No, who was it? Um,
It was Andrus.
I thought that
it
it
was
might have been
There he
Andrews.
Andrew.
is.
There you
Yeah.
are. Hey, Andrews, how you doing?
Hey guys.
Now the party can start.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil,
Hey,
welcome. So we're just about to get into new business, and Andrews, if you're ready, would you like to talk about the Mead, the trail at Mead, at the Mead, the proposal for that?
Sure. Let me find something I can share.
Okay.
And I'll show this. Zoom out. Um, and let's see if we can share my screen here. Share screen. Great. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing. Hey, Bruce.
Let me see if I don't know how to. This is I'm on my
On your phone?
no,
How?
I'm on my iPad. So I don't know how to.
Oh.
I know.
Go down to the bottom where it says share.
Yeah, but I have it on here, but it's not. I don't have anything to like on the computer. We're able to unlock or allow other people.
you've got a really big pen too, Bruce.
Huh. We have done it before.
Yeah, my iPad's a little different. I guess I'll let's just try screen, see what happens. Screen broadcast. That's oh, no, that's not what I wanted.
Are you able to? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but no, that's just
Oh, if you go to
What?
participants, you might go to participants.
yeah. Let me
You
try
click
that
on
one.
Andrus, you can probably do it that way.
Let me see participants. Andrews. Stop video. Make host. There we go. You know what I can do? Change panel's appearance. Change record. Allow multi-pin on hold. I'm gonna make you a co-host. All right.
Perfect.
Try that.
All right.
Accept it and then see if that works.
Okay, sweet. All right. So we can share
Yeah.
my screen here. Great. So it's sharing my screen. And get that. We'll find. All right. So we had a bike race in Stratham Hill in New Hampshire,
Hmm.
and that had some trails around there. And what was really cool, they also had a pump track. And so basically what it is, it's dirt with kind of rollers.
Hmm.
And in the rollers, you basically kind of compress your body down and then pump with your feet and use that for momentum to keep going. And they had a pretty small area, and just put all these in place. Some berm corners, so you just have momentum, and then on the downs you just push down and you actually build up speed, kind of like you could also do that at skate parks. That's how people do it at half pipes, when they're snowboarding or skateboarding. And so they put together, this really neat park, in a tight area, with all these little rollers, and it's super fun for kids, fun for adults to go. Canton is making one right now. They got part of a grant to do it. And I know the bike shop up there, Jan, is kind of spearheading that. And so my thought was something similar to this, but instead of just round spot, like this would be really cool at the Parsons Corner. But thinking about it, it's using the land that we've already got, which would be at Tungus Mead, as opposite this, the road from the soccer fields, kind of right before the gate for the brush dump, on the
Yeah.
side of what used to be the old landfill. It's perfect. There's grass there. It'd be easy to put a track to it. And then with that, we'd have maybe like 3 zigzags back and forth, all slightly going downhill, so you could have rollers and coast down the hill, have berm corners, and people are there already for, the soccer games and ball games. And, it's got the skate park right there, so it wouldn't be hard to make something like this with what we've already got.
Cool.
So that's kind of what I was thinking that, would be ideal for there. It's land that's not being used. It's still natural, still outside activities. So, and then, a lot of people would just have fun.
I like this idea a lot.
Yeah.
I would say a couple of things. So Canton's project is there's a small committee similar to what we're doing here. Jan co-owns a Benidorm bike with her husband, and it was kind of those guys for started that process. I bring that up. I bring that up because we could go to school on what they're doing basically.
Yeah. Yep.
So what they did was they went to us at Connecticut Deep and said, can you give us a recreational trails grant for it? And they got it almost instantly. I mean,
Wow.
so there's money around for stuff like this. Now, would Farmington be eligible to get additional money before we've even seen the actual dollars from from the Rec Trails program for the design for the Farmington Avenue design? I'm not so sure. It may end up being a year after that for Rec Trails money, but there's other money out there too. And then my other thought is, if you do that, why don't we do that in conjunction with improving the trails that go around the peninsula, around next to the river, that I used to use as a kid. That was all those houses that got flooded out in '55.
Yeah.
There were cellar holes when I was a kid, but mostly gone now. But there's a lovely trail out there. It goes back to the cornfields, goes up to and could hook up with the trail with the Meadow Road Trail. So we should think about that too.
So, Andres, going back, I guess I don't understand the whole pump track, because I never had really heard of it until I was at a Canton meeting.
Yep.
So I really don't understand, like, is that a big thing with kids, or?
It's something that's fun to do. So we've got Eli right here.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And when we started riding, you start riding in your backyard, then you move to your neighborhood, then you move to the riding on the greenway or something like that. but with kids, it could be a little sketchy at times, riding the greenway, especially when there's some faster traffic and you've got kids that are learning and aren't the most predictable. And so when you're, to go off of a path where it's less congested onto, a track, if you will, it's a fun destination, something fun to go and do. Bristol got
I
a
guess-
grant.
I'm sorry. I was just wondering more about the whole pump part of it,
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
opposed to pedaling.
Yeah. So the neat thing with that is, it's, typically in a circuit, so you're not riding in the middle of the woods. You're somewhere in a park. You could hang out there. You could do a lap, hang out with your friends. It's for kids and adults. It's similar to a BMX track, kind of. That's where it all started. And, and so it's good for building bike skills. It's typically not very rough, so, you could ride it with, usually just a cruiser bike or a mountain bike or something like that. It, develops stability because, you've got corners, you've got rollers. If you go faster, you could hit them as little jumps. It's fun to do together with your family. It's accessible. So like riding when Eli was, 4 or 5 years old, Bristol made one. We chipped in a couple of bucks for Bristol to put one in at Rockwell Park. Unfortunately, I thought the geometry wasn't right. The rollers are too close together, so it didn't work out for adults. It's better for smaller bikes.
For me, it's fun.
But so the concept with this is that when you get a couple pedal strokes in there, and instead of pedaling through it, you use your weight and just push down, and you're basically pumping. On the downstrokes, you pump it, and on the upstrokes, you kind of just absorb the bike. So imagine your head staying here, and on the downstrokes, you push, and then on the upstrokes, it goes up. And so you're using that, and every push going down, you get a little bit more speed, a little more energy into it. And so that's what the pumping is, instead of just pedaling. And it's something fun for kids to do, something for adults to do, build skills, do it together with your family. And, before Eli was capable of riding the more mountain bike trails, which could be, I mean, at Tungus Mead, they're easy, but, in other places it gets kind of challenging with rocks and roots and hills, pump tracks. You could do it with little kids on a Strider bike even. And so, what I was thinking on the side of the landfill there is kind of like a downhill version of it. So you get rollers going down, maybe little tabletops, and then just a berm corner going around and a couple of times around, and then you're at the bottom of it, and then you just, have your path riding back up to the top.
So it sounds like something that would be volunteer driven as far as the maintenance to it, right?
Yeah. So there's pump tracks all over. A lot of times the local NEMA chapters have taken over the maintenance. Rockwell, so the Rockwell one, Rockland Preserve in Madison or Brantford, right there. They have a really nice pump track. They'll close it during the winter time and the mud season. They'll put carpets over, the rollers so they don't get eroded, when it's wet, and gets trashed. Typically, it gets machine built. So it gets built with a Bobcat, and they'll put a clay, more of a clay layer on top of it to make it a bit more durable. And for maintenance on our side, if you build it right, so the runoff isn't bad. If you put a little grade to spill the water off before your downhill corners, and pitch it properly, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. And, it's out in the sunny open, so it's not like you're going to be shaded and puddles and, leaves and stuff like that. So in the fall time, you come by with a leaf blower, maybe once a week or something like that. If that, I mean, it's not like Tungus Mead gets a ton of leaves there.
How do you, I'm sorry, how do you keep like ATVs or motorized bikes off it? Has that been a problem?
It's all the ones that I've seen have been fenced in.
Yeah, I think you got a
Okay.
fence them.
Okay.
And
I think
Because
so.
it is a secluded area back
Yeah.
there, so, you know.
well, I mean, it's right next to the paved road, so if we've got issues with dirt bikes coming in and ripping up the mulch piles, then, I could see being an issue. But if that currently doesn't happen, you're going down a paved road, it's not like you're in a back lot in the corner of Burlington. It's
Yeah.
a pretty popular park, where there's people all the time. So I think there's enough visibility that at least in that spot, there wouldn't be as much dirt bike issues as there would, say, along the river or somewhere more secluded.
No,
Okay.
I agree with that. I think that's correct. I do have a couple of questions. And Bruce may be able to answer this off the top of his head, but do we have some sort of a survey or topographical understanding of where the town land is there and what's going on there? I bring that up because certainly a large portion of that is in fact the old landfill, and DEEP would certainly have a say through federal EPA regarding usage of that land. I would assume it'd have to be tested.
Well, what I think with that is, rather than digging into the impervious layer on top of it, we would just build up.
So you just use the top basically. So you encapsulate it essentially.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
okay.
it's already encapsulated and it's got grass growing on there,
Yeah.
wherever
Yeah.
the track would be, rather than digging down and benching into it, we would just, say, put a foot of soil on top of it and use that.
Yep.
And
Okay.
so hopefully that wouldn't disturb it.
Yeah.
Can I
No.
ask, if would it make sense? I mean, you've obviously thought about this really deeply, but I just wanted to ask, would it make sense to put it next to the skate park just because there might be like a lot of overlap with
We talked about that last year. And if we were to do it, it would have to be where the woods are in the skate park, right next to it. The problem with that is that it's wetlands. And, everything that's there, I think, has been grandfathered. If we wanted to go build it there, a lot of the ones in at Rockland, it is in the forest, and there are trees in the middle of it. And trees all around it. So we could, put it there without disturbing, trees that are, say like 4 or 6 inches in diameter or bigger. I'm sure it'd be possible, but that's a spot that would flood, but we would build it so it'd be flood proof. So I think that's great to do it there. But I don't know how difficult the fact that it's in wetlands.
I would think the permitting would be almost impossible, Carolyn, is my guess.
Sure.
And so that was my reasoning thinking about the landfill is that, okay, well, we've already trashed it, pun intended.
True enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So like nobody should be able to complain about that.
Mhm. So what would be our next step from here?
I would think engineering would want to take a look at the parcel and see what can be done as a practical matter. I would think, Brian, that the town then would want to look at it, and from a couple of different viewpoints, not so much from actually building it or funding it, which I think we could do, elsewhere.
Check the viability.
But part of it would be maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Would the town mow it, for instance? Would there be some sort of shared maintenance plan for it? There's some nuts and bolts to discuss for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid of is if we go to the engineering department right now, they're going to say, I don't want to do maintenance. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to increase the load to the town. No, 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 no. And we'll immediately have, somebody that is going to push against it.
Hmm.
If we get more support, if we look at all the, I guess, obstacles and, figure out a way forward for them, to have an answer, I don't want to say rebuttal, but, basically, if we figure out, well, what about maintenance? How do we make it so the town doesn't, increase the town burden on maintaining it?
Mhm.
What about this? What about that? Whether it's, a volunteer day, through, like we do with the town cleanup, whether it's a monthly thing. If it's grass that's mowing that they're already mowing on the side of the hill, we could design it to fit the town mowers.
Mhm.
So, there wouldn't be any, or at least not much additional labor to it.
That makes sense.
And so, my concern is to, if we went right to engineering, everybody's first answer being short-staffed is no.
Hmm.
But if there's enough of a desire for it, we should be able to overcome it.
So then so how do we gauge that desire? Because I know in Canton, there's a lot of, people are wanting it. There's a big group. Quite frankly, I hadn't heard of this. I think I said before until
Yeah.
Canton started doing it. So it would be a great thing for kids. Yes. Is it something where if you build it, they'll come, or is it something that kids Eli's age are doing now?
I mean, you're gonna do it where it exists, and since Farmington doesn't have it, we're driving to different places to go ride, and it's something fun to do in addition to mountain biking. And I'm thinking that, with how many kids are at Tungus Mead on the weekends, you've got a ton of siblings that, would love to do something other than, sit and watch YouTube while their siblings are playing soccer. So, I thought that was pretty good. I don't know about, we'd have to have I guess a crosswalk for them to get across back and forth. Maybe if we did it kind of by the gatehouse, at least that would be on one side of it and somewhat protected. At least just painted stripes, at least where traffic's slowed down, not through, the parking lot proper.
So I think like Bruce had said earlier, we don't have to reinvent anything here. So maybe our first step is to meet with Jan and that way someone like me can get more educated on it too.
The other thing that we can do is I don't know if they hired Sinuosity or one of the trail builders, but I remember going to one of the Canton Pump Track meetings in the beginning when they were presenting to their town hall or town council. And they had an employee from the construction company that, that's their business, is building trails. Come make a presentation. So I would think we could contact them and, they would have some kind of, either we have a meeting with them, and then farther down there, we could approach, town council with a presentation of it. I don't know, Brian, what do you think about that versus going and to engineering first? And
I was just thinking about that. What I was thinking is, we're all talking about some really great ideas, and I think it would work really well to do a presentation, but I'm thinking of a subcommittee to iron out some of the real details that have been brought up just here. What do we see as viable? And because we can just put it down as, some options. Let
Sure.
them know what we're thinking. I think they would want to know some cost, which we might be able to get some idea from Canton if they'd be willing to work with us and share
Yeah.
some information. And I was thinking, Neil, you looked like you had some thoughts on your mind. I didn't know if you wanted to share anything.
No, I did.
I
About
thought
the
so.
ATVs. Yeah. So that's all I had. So I was shaking my head agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I heard any thoughts you might have had.
Yeah.
So
Andres, do you want me to chat up NAMBA? I have some very good relationships with them.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
I think they'd love the idea.
You know, and we've got, I mean, there's you know, some good development that got done up in Nepog in the last year. There's
Yeah.
a good core group with the Reagans that kind of help take care of
Yep.
Nasahegan and Sessions. You know,
Absolutely.
but you know,
Yeah.
but between here and West Hartford Reservoir, there's not much. You know,
No.
and you know, I think there's an opportunity where we can really highlight the trails at Tungsten Mead also. You know, get some trail signs up.
Yes.
You know, maybe a little park map.
Because you know, I can see people using Tungsten Mead for you know with gravel bikes, with mountain bikes,
For sure.
you know, and actually you know going there as a day trip, you know, and shame on us for not doing it. You know, it's there. It's just sitting there basically. I mean,
I
the
think
bump track.
I think the important thing, guys, is to introduce cycling to Tungsten Mead, and this is just a foot in the door because you can expand on all of that stuff.
Exactly. Good point. Yes.
You know, that's a great point, Matt, because like it's a hub where we get, I mean, the best way to introduce cycling is honestly through kids, because kids love it.
So if you want to create
Even big kids.
put some
Yep.
thoughts together.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was thinking.
No, I'd be glad to. On this subcommittee, I'm happy to kind of chair that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Who is interested in participating?
I'll help with it. I like this idea a lot.
Okay. Cool.
Andrews, let me talk to the guys at the shop. I know I have some mountain bikers there. They might be willing to get involved.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's awesome. Thank you. Do you want to come at our next meeting? Do you think we might have something that we could at least talk about?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and you know, get together with Bruce and Donald offline, and with Matt, and you know, we'll get some more stuff to present for next month, and
Wonderful.
hopefully between the three of us, we can get some answers, some ballpark ideas, and see where it goes.
I think it's an awesome idea. Thanks for bringing it to the table.
Thank you.
Our next item up here was the part-time bike coordinator. Bruce is listed here, but we were thinking it might have been you, Andrews, who brought it up last time.
Yep. So on that, I mean, it's I forgot who mentioned it, and it was probably Bruce that mentioned it, that, you know, my idea of, you know, $20 an hour for somebody working, you know, 10, 20 hours a week. It's actually I think the going rate for a bike ped coordinator is $40 an hour, but whatever. You know, with this position, I think we need to approach town council. And Brian, I don't know if you were gonna bring up to see the appetite for something like that.
I certainly could. I think would be the time to start talking about it, because
Yeah.
we're gonna get into our budgeting, you know, coming up in January. We start laying that out. So if we wanted to put together a proposal with like a short job description of thinking of what we were thinking about with the expense of that.
Yeah, and I agree with the timing. I think the timing would be good for you to you know, to go to the rest of the council and say, you know, the town really could use this position. There's a lot of things that this person could do. And I do suspect that the number probably all in is something more like $40 an hour. Is probably a realistic number. And again, you know, a part-timer, maybe we would look at it as a half-time position, you know, something along those lines. Yeah, I'm. There must be a job description out there, that because there's a few towns that have that position It's mostly staffed out of planning or engineering. Let me see if I can find something. Did you try to cobble anything together, Andrus, yourself, or?
No, I haven't had a chance to dig into that.
Okay.
I reached out to the DPW directors in Simsbury and in New Britain. I'm friends with them and go mountain biking. And thinking that those towns have both made a lot of strides with bike ped infrastructure, but they've just done it in-house within the engineering department.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what West Hartford's doing or what South Windsor's doing.
South Windsor might be a good choice.
And
You
then
know who
maybe
else
New
would-
Haven.
You know who else has talked about it? Well, New Haven doesn't actually have a coordinator right now. You know who might is Glastonbury.
Okay.
Let me ask around and see if we can come up with a description for you, Brian, that would fit the bill so that you could go and do kind of a straw poll for us on that.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Didn't
Okay.
somebody come up with the idea here of maybe asking, for instance, Avon and Canton, since it's a part-time person, to kind of share that person? Or is that so difficult to do between
Well, I
Um,
think sharing the position first would make it, even less expensive for the towns. Maybe, instead of 20 hours a week, maybe that knocks it down to like 10 hours a week because now we've got some shared infrastructure and shared goals. And then, we're at least on the state level dealing with all the same people. But I would think that's a reasonable way to do it. If we can, I don't know if going out to hire a subcontractor company would be cost effective versus hiring directly though. The second you get somebody like VHB involved, it's not going to be $40 an hour anymore.
Oh God, no. In fact, the consultancy numbers right now are just absolutely ridiculous. They're crazy numbers. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
Fenway-
Avon. I'm thinking Avon probably wouldn't bite. Simsbury might. I don't know. I don't have a feeling for whether that would fly or not.
I guess that would depend on, what kind of projects that are aligned, where I don't want to say economies of scale, but if you're doing safe routes to school,
Mhm.
it's going to be similar across towns, because now you're working with the same people and it's the same concepts.
Yeah, and Simsbury definitely is.
Yeah, if
So
someone can provide me with like a job description and be willing to talk with me about what we would imagine, a coordinator would be doing for Farmington and what the benefits would be.
okay. Let's see if we can come up with something for you, Brian.
Perfect. Something that you guys are comfortable with. And while we're looking for that, I want to move on to the next item, which is the town website update, which we were talking about last month. And I believe, Carolyn, you reached out and said that you'd be willing to work on that. But we only had one person. Oh, Bruce, Ron, you said also?
yeah.
Okay.
So what's my excuse? So I knew that Dylan was having this baby, so I didn't want to stress him out anymore. So we
Okay.
will get to that. Yes.
All right. I just didn't want to leave it hanging.
No.
I actually I floated a couple of things, but I didn't really hear much of a response about it.
Right. And when I spoke to Dylan about it, he said he was waiting to get you guys together in a room to sit down and do that. And that time didn't get scheduled. And maybe the baby had something to do with it. I don't know.
I'm sure it's a big
It
deal.
was the baby, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll put it at that. But I know he's going to be, I would imagine, I hope he's out for a couple of weeks taking care of things at home. But
definitely.
when he gets
Yeah.
back on that, I want to make sure that we get that going, and I'd be happy to help with that as well if I could, but
Okay.
appreciate you guys stepping up to do that.
Great, thanks.
Okay, the other thing we were talking about was doing some questions for our survey.
So didn't we say that we weren't gonna have it this close to the, Carolyn, what is it, the bicycle friendly
Yeah,
follow-up?
the bike friendly community survey is actually still open for another week.
Oh, okay.
And they're actually, if anyone is able to send that URL out to people you know, I'm not sure how many responses we've got, but yeah, there's still another week and it'll be open. And it's, if anyone here has filled it out, it's like a 10-minute survey, so there'll be a lot of information.
Okay. And don't we have, and I forget exactly where it was on the site, we on our site somewhere, we have tracking of how much usage, bike usage there is on the trails. Didn't Dave have like a ticker that was counting people on the trails?
Yeah, Bruce knows all about that, but we get that information.
Yeah. So
Go
that's,
ahead.
so that's now through Yukon. That's the Connecticut Trail Census.
Okay.
And it's all online. There's a dashboard for the Farmington counters, as well as all the other counters across the state. And so yeah, that's easily findable. One of the things we should do is provide a direct link to that now that all of that's up and running. And by the way, I think you all know that the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail is also on the sister site, which is Connecticut Trail Finder, also out of the Yukon Extension program. They're setting up essentially a trails set of websites to do that, and that's now open too. So if you go to Connecticut Trail Finder, you can click on the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail in Farmington, as well as the River Trail, and it'll come right up. It'll give you all the details about it, where the parking is. It's actually a really pretty cool website.
And on that note, we're actually getting very close. I'm on the subcommittee for signage for the river trail, and we're getting down to the finalists for the new sign.
Yes, and in fact, I should mention that I have a meeting coming up with the Farmington Canal Rail to Trail Association. So that's Lisa Fernandez's group, which is New Haven, Hamden, Cheshire, Southington, and part of Plainville. And I'm going to include the Farmington Valley Trails Council as well. Now that the route of the Canal Heritage Trail is basically cast in stone, I just saw Connecticut DOT at the Connecticut Greenways Council symposium last Friday. The designers for Plainville were there, and we discussed unified signage for the entirety of the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail. I did talk to New Haven. New Haven has agreed that mile 0 for the trail will now be the boathouse right on the shore there. So you take the cycle track up. You'll take the new State Street cycle track, which it just went to bid for construction next year in New Haven. And we now know where every tenth of a mile of the Canal Heritage Trail is actually gonna go. It's not all built yet, but it's all designed. So now what we can do is take a look with all of the allied agencies about one big grant to do a signage program for the entire trail system, along with mileage markers. And that's a long, long time coming. We've been talking about that for at least a decade. So that's big news for the state, quite frankly. And I would think if we can pull it off, it might not be this year. It may probably be well, I say this year, that'd be 2026 money. I think it's more likely 2027 money because Plainville will be cast in stone. Oh, Matt, I see. I'm still working on that crosswalk. I haven't got an answer from DOT on that yet. But anyway, I want y'all to know that that's in process.
Bruce, is there anywhere where we can see the Plainville route? How, now that it's cast in stone? I didn't realize it was. So.
Well, they made they made a the centerpiece is probably what you're talking about because phase 1 and phase 2 have already had public meetings.
Right.
They're planning a public meeting sometime around the turn of the year. They did, and one of the things with this meeting with DOT on last Friday was they did in fact go to Plainville with a treatment for the center of town. And it looks like it's going to be some sort of a cycle track alongside of Broad Street, at least currently. There's another issue, which is where to put the trail along the side of 177. There's a small bridge that would need an additional bridge essentially built. They're hemming and hawing about that. So there's still some stuff. They know where they want to put it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And as soon as I have literally something I can send you guys, I'll send it to you so you can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
But phase 1 and phase 2 have been approved, so they're funded too, by the way, just so you know. So, and I was told that phase 1, which is Town Line Road at Southington up to Sperry Park, is going to bid this winter. So that's very positive news. So it's happening incredibly slowly, but it's happening. I'm sorry, I took up a lot of time there. I didn't really mean to, but
No, that's okay. I'm considering this part of the Farmington Valley Trails Council update. You're off, Bruce. Sorry.
yeah, I muted myself. Yeah, that's essentially exactly what that just was, wasn't it? So that's good. Yeah.
Thanks for following the agenda. Anything else to add to that, or do we move on to the public information seminars? Anything on the seminars? Nothing?
Not yet.
Okay. What about the recreational trails grant for South Road?
So I did talk to Deep. They're still fouled up with getting the final contracts out. I assume, Bruce, you haven't seen it. Is that correct? The final contract? I don't think you guys have.
No, I'm not involved with that. I know that Dylan has been working with them on that, and I don't.
Okay.
I don't think he has seen it
Okay.
at this point.
I'm hoping you'll see it in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
That was what I was told by Deep. So their lawyers, we gave out 46 grants this year. So they've been able to get 6 contracts of that out so far. Oh yeah. It takes them forever to get this stuff through legal. I'm sorry about that, but so hopefully we can get that money to work as soon as possible.
Yeah, we actually brought that up last night.
Oh, you did?
Saying
Okay.
we were excited about it happening.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's excited about it.
Yeah.
We just need to get it going. Yeah, that's.
Are there any other did we want to talk about the signs we were talking about reaching out and getting some about the 3 signs and putting those in the flats?
Yeah.
The know your speed.
Yeah. So it sounded like that was not going to happen until next year. So
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about putting that in place now so that because the signage was used so, by so many different people, we wanted to see if we could get that in place now so that we could, schedule the months that we wanted it out in the flats.
Hey,
Oh,
Brian,
you're talking
Brian, one
about-
quick question on the flats. Did you
Yeah.
guys change that speed limit up towards Route 10? I noticed it went from 40 to 30.
I wasn't included in a conversation on that, so if it was changed, it wasn't had nothing to do with me.
Really?
Okay, well, yeah, I noticed that. So it's
Wow.
pretty cool.
What was
Well,
this?
if I did it, I'd take the credit, trust me, but I didn't do it, so someone else must have done it, so good for them. I don't know. Maybe Dan, can you speak to that?
Or Matt?
Or Matt? I see Daniel. Okay, yep.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hey there.
Hey, apologize for
About
being
the
late.
speed.
Oh, damn.
Anything about
Oh,
the speed
sorry.
change?
Hold on. Here we go.
There
Sorry.
we go.
To be honest, nothing comes to mind. I could just definitely double check with our traffic officer, but I'm glad it's slowed down getting up to 10 because that is one spot people seem to fly through the curves there. Definitely kind of a tight
Yeah,
spot.
I mean, if that actually happened, that's actually really good news. You know,
Oh.
Daniel, while you're on, one of the things that's cropped up at the statewide level for potential statewide legislative action is municipal speed limits on the multi-use trails.
Okay.
Essentially, you know, for e-bikes.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so I fielded a few e-bike complaints this summer. Just people kind of I'll say maybe not upset, but just concerned with the
Yeah.
speed. So that was
Yeah.
definitely we fielded a lot of, and obviously the accident we had with the gentleman who fell off his bike. So I mean that would be something good. You said that's coming down the pipeline.
Well, it's being talked. Bike Walk Connecticut, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board, which is the other appointed board in the state, along with my board. We're talking about launching that as a statewide legislative piece.
Okay.
For in the 26 in the 25 legislature. So we'll see what happens with it. But I bring it up because there's nothing stopping Farmington from doing a municipal ordinance. I mean, the issue I think from our police department's point of view is the enforcement aspect, right? I mean, how do you actually do that? I
Right.
mean,
Maybe doing it.
uh, but part of it in the discussions we've had at the statewide level, part of it is not so much the enforcement part, but the thing that it's there as a municipal ordinance. In other words, there's the threat of a ticket or a citation or some sort of enforcement, which as a practical matter, I think could at least help.
I would agree, for sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of float that with you to see that, that's something that's kind of starting to happen around the state. And, some cities are doing it. I know New Haven is talking about it. I haven't gotten much traction in Hartford. It's hard to get anything done in Hartford, but we'll see. So I just wanted you to know that was out there.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it because like I said, I feel that if a few complaints about the speed, and it's good to know like something I can relay to residents that hey, that it is being spoken about and we're searching for ways to address it to make the trails.
One of the big issues may be that you have the pedal assist bikes, but you also have the bikes with the throttles, and those
Yes.
are the ones that are basically electric motorcycles.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so class 1 and class 2 are allowed on multi-use trails. And again, the concept is that they are ADA devices, given a certain level of, and usually what it is federally is it's a 750 watts, which is 1 horsepower. And that will get you to around 20 miles an hour. Something with a throttle, some of those suckers can go 35 or 40.
Easy. Yeah.
And some of them more because you can take the limiters off. There's whole things on the internet where they show you how to pop these things up.
Jeez.
There some of them are rockets. So yeah, it's an issue, and part of the legislative package may include looking at the actual wattage of these things as well, Matthew. So we'll see. You know, I don't, part of the issue is that, and you know this, I'm sure you know this. You know, a lot of the bike shops are wary of changing, you know, in midstream, you know, class 1, class 2, and class 3, because that's really what it is how they're codified mostly across the country right now.
Mhm.
So it's something of a big bucket of worms, but we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're finding at the shop with the class 1s and 2s is their pedal assist people are just out for a ride. The class 3 bikes, people are using those as legitimate transportation, hauling their kids to school, going to get
Yep.
groceries. They need the power, but they can be abused.
Well, the class 3s really shine for things like delivery. You know what the bikes you see in New York City are all class 3s. They're all, in fact, many of them now don't even have pedals.
In Connecticut, do you have to register those?
Currently, no, and that's also a potential part of the legislation as well.
Yeah.
We're also talking about the potential of a 16-year age limit too, although that's problematic. That might be hard to do. But
This
yeah,
is gonna
Because I
be
have
our-
seen them on the road too.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's not just the trails, they're all over the place.
A little bit
Yeah.
of education will go a long way if we can do that and just educate people how they should behave.
That's
sure.
Keep it on the website then.
yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. Yeah,
This is going to be our biggest problem moving forward on the trails. And we saw it coming. There's going to be some, I don't know, I fear for collisions out there. People are really abusing these bikes, it seems.
well, you know, I think there's a percentage of folks that are. I think that
Mhm.
you know, our trails, our wider paved trails tend to police themselves fairly well. You know, I'll scream at somebody on an e-bike going too fast. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people will too. So you know, I think there's that aspect of it. There's still no question that there's a safety issue, and I think from, you know, certainly, you know, the town's point of view, the police's point of view, you know, we want a facility that everyone can use and can use safely.
Mhm.
So Bruce, my concern about speed limits, and specifically on the Greenway, is overreacting with it. You know,
Yeah.
if we've got, you know, we've gone this far without speed limits. Like you said, it's self-policing, and this e-bike thing is new. And as more less expensive ones come on the market, there's going to be more and more of them. You know, there's always going to be, you know, some folks that abuse it and are irresponsible. But, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, we don't overreact and say, oh my God, this is going to, you know, turn our, you know, greenways into, you know, Route 84, you know, and then say, you know
I
what,
see what you're saying.
you know, and then,
Yeah.
and then say, you know what, we've got to make sure this never happens, and let's make a speed limit of 12 miles an hour and, you know, put up speed signs and cameras and all that, you know, when it's a couple of people. Because if we do like a 12-mile-an-hour speed limit for the folks that use the Greenway to commute, I mean, you're asking to have legislation for something that is not going to be followed.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it would need to be. I mean, the only place I've seen anything approaching 12 is there's some bridges in New Jersey that are 12 and a half.
Okay, you know, maybe for targeted areas where it's turns and things like that, but
yeah, but I mean, 15 is the lowest I would consider going, and I've seen 18. You know, and again, that's a subject for another day. But
sure.
but you do bring up a point. I think, as a practical matter, and I think our police department would agree, as it's going to be very hard to get you know, warm bodies out there to actually enforce it. I think as they say in the food business, it's a serving suggestion. But what it does do is it gives the town the right to enforce it.
Okay.
So going back to what Andrews was saying, is what I had brought up months ago, because I am not for posted speed limits, is because you do get that commuter in the morning who's going 30 miles to work, and he happens to pass somebody who overreacts. We used that word earlier. And then they're reporting this person on a wide open trail at 6 a.m. where they're not a threat to anyone else.
Yeah.
So
No,
Although I'd argue they shouldn't be passing somebody at 30, at least slow it down to 20. Well,
Yeah. I mean,
all right, well, 20, you're still over what's going to be posted. I just
Yeah.
threw 30 out there.
yeah, but no, you're not wrong. I mean, the issue of etiquette again, rears its ugly head. And part of that I think is education. Now, an awful lot of the folks that are commuting are not using the trails. So they're going straight up, Farmington Avenue or wherever.
oh, it's because there's no east-west trail.
Exactly. I mean, they might use a piece of trail, but as a practical matter, in Connecticut right now, heaven forbid you want to go east-west. It doesn't. There's no effective way to do it.
All right. Any other thoughts on this subject? Because I think we've covered everything on our agenda. Or is there something that hasn't been brought up that needs to be brought up?
Brian, going back to the signs at Tungus Mead, do we have any actions for that? What
I believe I know they were approved, but I was saying that Dylan wanted to talk to, an officer in the police department who manages those signs.
We're talking about two different things, I think.
Oh.
We're talking
Yeah.
about the electronic signs going through the flats that
Oh,
are
okay.
temporary.
Oh,
And
that's
Oh,
right.
the electronic speed signs. Yeah.
Those. Okay,
Andrews
sorry.
is talking about signing Tungus Mead, the trails.
Right, did you guys select, believe he had a couple of options. Weren't you going to select some of those? One of the three that he had? Or was
No,
he?
I don't think we've really discussed signage through Tungus Mead yet. So
Are you talking
Andrews,
on the
you're
mountain
asking if
bike
that's
trails?
on the agenda, right?
No, I figured the mountain bike trails are separate. That's not what I thought we were talking about putting, whether it's share the road signs or something like that on the flats.
Oh, right. And
Right.
Yeah.
we did touch on that. That's not going to happen until next year.
No, I know, but
Okay.
I want to make sure that it doesn't turn into, a 2-year project to get 3 signs made, ordered. And, like if we're going to do the signs, now's the time to order the signs so we have them ready to install, because it seems to take about 6 months to order something.
Right, Dylan said they
Yeah,
were
I thought
approved
we
that he had
talked
like
about that
three.
last time, and I thought Dylan was going to look into that.
He was
Because
going to
you're
give us
right,
some
we need to
options.
get the signs, yeah.
Is
So
there-
the action is on Dylan to pick signs out and order it.
Correct.
I think there's an MUTCD design.
Right.
Didn't we talk? We talked about this, didn't we? I think we need Dylan on this because
Right.
I think he had either made that decision or Ron, why don't you follow up with Dylan when he's back? But I think that's we already have a solution for that. I think.
Yeah, we don't really have a choice for the sign because it's what the town uses. Only uses the approved.
Exactly. There is a design. Yes.
Yeah. So I
And
just
those are
wanted to make
fine.
sure that we had a clear action that somebody is doing something. And I know we said that it's going to be next year when it happens, but I want to make sure that we don't come to April and say, okay, well, now we need to get a purchase order and that's going to be 8 weeks for them to make it. And then
Yep.
it won't be next April.
Yeah,
No, you're not-
do we have funding for these signs?
I believe that Dylan said that we did have the funding. He
Okay,
said they were approved and that there were some options that he was going to show us, but that they had been approved. But I guess he said he had three in mind, as that's what I recall.
Okay, so we have
Okay,
to
yeah,
wait.
sounds like
have
we
to
need
wait
to
till
talk
next.
to Dylan.
All right,
Yeah.
so, all right.
It's in his court, but I'll send him a message that we discussed that and that we like maybe to see the options he was thinking about, and then see which ones he can order for us, and how quickly we can get them in.
I mean, we
Because
could do that via
you're-
email too. We don't have to wait for a monthly meeting
True.
for it.
No, I'll send him an email.
Well,
Uh,
one thing, if you guys, I know you were just asking for kind of additional last minute things, but I asked Neil and Ron about Board of Education. I know we're supposed to have a Board of Education member on our committee. And I think Neil was going to ask someone that he knows, but I just thought it might not hurt to kind of ask if anyone has connections at all to the Board of Education people. It might be really helpful to have someone like that on our committee, just because towns near us are doing so much with education, and you know,
Yeah.
we could do that too.
Yeah, I had spoken to Beth Kittner last year, just after the election, and she wasn't interested, but she was going to bring it to the Board of Ed and see if she could find somebody. I don't even want to mention it to her now because we're flat out on the election, and you can't believe the amount of stuff going through that office right now. So I'm not going to say anything about it until November 6th, when
Okay.
we all wake up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
that's fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Neil, I know Beth too. I used to live next door in Farmstead
Okay.
Lane, so you know, we can gang up on her maybe. See what we can do.
Yeah. Now, if anybody has other contacts on the Board of Ed, feel free to try to cultivate those in the interim.
I know, Ron, you were maybe going to ask, Zatoon, the interim
Right.
superintendent guy, maybe. But yeah.
I did reach out to a couple of the board members about the bike safety, the bike ride, but I never heard back from them. I did reach out to Beth and Bill, but I can certainly reach out to them again after the election.
Oh, we're gonna have this bike ride and we're just gonna shame the ones who didn't get back to us.
Is that a town council Board of Ed bike ride?
Yeah, like the other towns are doing.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
When are you guys gonna do that?
Haven't figured that out. It wouldn't be until after the winter.
December, when we all need tights.
Let's do that. And studded tires.
And studs, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, there.
And
I know.
take them all through the center or five corners in Unionville so they learn how to drive better too.
Ooh, yes.
I'm perfectly willing to lead a group through there.
Yeah, so nice segue into safe routes to school.
I will
So-
consult with Dan before I do it, though.
Okay, so safe routes to school. I'm working my avenues toward that. It's in the works.
By the way,
Um,
there's a new statewide coordinator. What's her name left?
Who do we have?
Yeah, I
it's
think
Chris-
you mentioned that last month, right?
I think it's Chris Roberts is his name. He's in Anna Bergeron's department at Connecticut DOT.
All right, I'll reach out to her and see Roberts.
Yeah,
Chris
and I know
Roberts?
they're right now. It's a vacancy that DOT is looking to fill.
Yeah, I think Chris is
coordinator.
interim, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They just
I know it's
basically,
definitely under Anna.
yeah, it is. I think they just appointed somebody out of her office. So I think that's what the deal is right now. Just so you know, Ron.
Thanks.
Brian, you muted.
I know, no, I make my notes by dictating because my typing is atrocious. So I think we're in good shape unless I guess that's pretty much everything on our agenda. if we're all set, does anyone have a motion to adjourn? Oh, and before we do that, I'm sorry, approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at the minutes? Were there any questions?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
I,
Okay, all approved. And now do we have a motion to adjourn? And a second? No, we don't need a second. We can just adjourn. Thanks very
Yeah.
much, everybody.